In this tutorial, I'm going to be showing you how to create designs for your pyrography piece. Now you could use any mediums you like. You could even use ICT if you want to draw electronically, but I tend to favour drawing pencils. Now you may already have a really good idea as to how you want your final design to look and your end product to actually look, but it's really important to try and keep an open mind. The more variety you can show in your initial design ideas, the better. If you're working as a designer for a customer, you would need to give them choices. Imagine you're going to the shops to buy a t-shirt, for example, and you go into the clothes shop and they only have one type of t-shirt in one particular colour in your size. That isn't necessarily going to be the one you would want to choose. So it's the same with design ideas. You need to give a variety and show a range. And if you keep working on your design ideas, you may find that actually that original idea you had, whilst it might be great, you've subsequently come up with an even better idea. So my theme for my design ideas is wolves. Now my sketch page isn't going to include an end product. At the moment I'm just trying to come up with a design or a motif, almost like a logo, that I can then burn into my wood. So I'm not worrying too much about what the end product would look like. I'm just coming up with that motif first of all. Now you don't have to be amazing at artwork to still succeed in this course and still be a great designer. If you're not so confident with sketching, there are other ways around this. If you can find some inspiration on the internet, for example, it's quite okay, especially at the start of the course, to trace some ideas and then maybe adapt it, maybe add in other features or ideas to that original picture. Now at the back of my mind, I need to keep aware of the fact that I'm not going to be drawing this image onto wood with a pencil. It's going to be using the wood burning tool. So just bear that in mind when you're drawing, because it might be that you need to simplify your ideas. Perhaps you need to scale it back and make it less complicated so that you can burn it successfully into the wood. Now, as well as a number of different ideas, it's important to show variation, like I just explained. You don't want 4 ideas that look slightly different from one another. You want to be able to give lots of different options. You may find by doing this as well that you can combine ideas. So in this design, I'm combining the idea of the howling wolf and the paw print together. And these sketches don't have to be perfect. You can see just how sketchy my drawings are. These are rough drawings. It's all about the concept and the idea at this stage. You can neaten things up later on when you've decided which design you actually want to put onto your product. Something else you'll need to do with your design ideas is to annotate. Now annotate is basically another word for adding notes, and where this is really helpful for me is that when you submit your work, I can understand your thought process. You'll see me do it in a little while once I've finished my design ideas, so adding annotation shows me what you're thinking about when you've come up with these design ideas. You can also put your opinion on each of the ideas, so if you don't favour one in particular, you can explain why you don't, what is it you don't like about it, and maybe suggest ways that it could be improved upon. You could also add annotation that links it to the product you're making, so perhaps you've got several ideas of what you actually want to burn onto, whether it's a trinket box or a picture frame, for example. Now I'm going over darker in certain places here to indicate that that's what I would want to do with the wood burning. So these darker lines would be burnt deeper into the wood, and then the other details would be sketched. I think this is where using a HB pencil for this design task in particular is probably a good idea, because you get a very similar effect with a drawing pencil on paper as you can with the wood burner onto wood. So as well as coming up with different ideas, you could come up with variations of ideas. So we do want to see a range, but perhaps you've then chosen an idea that you want to develop on, you want to create alternatives. So I'm doing that here. So I like this idea of the paw print but with an image within it. So I'm replicating that now, but in an alternative way. So in this design, the wolf wouldn't be burned into the wood, it would be everything around it, which should give quite a different effect to my first design. And now finally I'm coming up with a final design. For this design I've taken just the image of an eye of a wolf, because I think this will be a nice way of demonstrating that I can work with the wood burner in a variety of ways. I can show tone and make a realistic looking picture, but I'm also going to use the paw print as well, so this will enable me to show that I can create bold lines and shapes within my design as well. Now it's also important to remember that part of your task asks you to create a personalised design, so even if you haven't included it in all of the designs up to this point, on your final design you need to incorporate a personalisation on there. I'm using a fine liner just to make this design stand out and to identify it as my final design, but also again to show where I plan on using bolder lines when I actually burn into the wood. And this is going to be my personalisation, so I'm just using my initials to make this design personal to me. You might find that you want to use a whole name, for example. And of course, when I come to burning this onto my wood, I'm not going to do this freehand. I'm going to sketch it on first of all. You could even create a template from your original design for you to draw around and get an accurate shape. It's much easier to correct if you're drawing on pencil first and you make a mistake than it will be for you to make a correction once it's already burned into the wood. So it's important to get it right at that design stage when you draw it on. And then finally I'm just adding my annotation. It's really important that you do this for me so that I can understand the thought process you've gone through to get to your final idea. Once you've completed your design ideas, don't forget to upload really clear photographs so I can see each of your designs. If you need to take close-up shots of some of your individual sketches, that's absolutely fine to do. I'd rather that you added extra photos so that I can see all of your fantastic work.